getting him wet will cause him to breed.
Asexually, which cool.
Yeah, he's an ace icon.
Yeah.
Welcome to Feminist Frequency Radio. This is the show that asks you to be critical of the media you love. I'm Kat Spada, and today I'm celebrating the holidays a little early by revisiting a creepy Christmas classic, Gremlins. From the twisted mind of Chris Columbus and directed by Joe Dante, who brought us such movies as Small Soldiers and Looney Tunes Back in Action, in 1984, Gremlins was unleashed on the world. A group of young people played by Zach Galligan, Corey Feldman, and Phoebe Cates navigate an outbreak of gremlins after an innocent mogwai named Gizmo, who's voiced by Howie Mandel, by the way, spawns trouble-making offspring.
Billy Pelser has a nice home and loving parents who are about to give him...
You're gonna like this. No, don't shake it. We're gonna have to open it now. It won't wait till Christmas.
The most unusual gift he ever got.
What is it? It's your new pet.
But there are a few things to keep in mind. And most important, no matter how much they beg, never let them eat after midnight. Because when they do, they change. Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
Joining me today is actor, comedian, dancer, and celebrity crush Oscar Montoya. He's hosted a bevy of podcasts, including Spanish Aki Presents, The Tri-Gays, Podcast Killed the Video Star, Inside the Disney Vault, and he's a veteran UCB performer and teacher. As an actor, he's starred as Richie on Minx and appeared in several beloved shows and movies, including Dix the Musical, Bless the Hearts, and Star Trek Lower Decks. You can see him in the recurring stage show Bad Drag Race at Dynasty Typewriter in Los Angeles. Welcome to the show, Oscar.
My God, Kat, hi.
Hi.
The feeling is mutual.
We met 100 years ago doing a storytelling show, and you've never been far from my mind ever since.
I mean, we took a dance class together.
Yeah, I feel like we had one of those moments, and then I've been a really bad friend ever since. But we've had one of those moments of being like, "Oh my God, are we friends?"
Yes, and we still are.
Yes, and I love it. But we have a listener base that likes gaming and cool shit and nerd shit, and I'm hoping you can tell them a little bit about, you do some like RPG stuff?
I do, yes, some tabletop role-playing game play. I do this show called Dimension 20. I worked on the show, and it's on Dropout, which is a great streaming service. Y'all should check it out. It's by the College Humor people. And it's their own streaming site. And what it is, essentially, it's a show. It's where every season is a different campaign. And the show that I worked on was Court of Fey and Flowers, which is sort of a mix between, you have your, it's like a fairy court world, think Midsummer's Night Dream, mixed with Regency era romance, like Jane Austen.
Okay.
So, for me, I was very new into the TTRPG space, which is kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, if you will. That was my first game that I ever played. And I got to play with the masters of role-playing, Serena Marie, Omar Najam, Lou Wilson, Emily Axford, and Brennan Lee Mulligan. And Abria Iyengar was the dungeon master of that campaign. And it was like the most fun I've ever had. It's opened up my world to live action role playing. Have you ever done it, Kat?
I've never done it. I feel like it's one of those things that people say to me like, "Oh, it's weird that you don't like pro wrestling because you love drag." "Oh, it's weird that you don't love playing games because you love telling stories." And I feel like it's just one of those things I need to give a chance.
It's very okay. I'll say from my perspective, it feels very alienating just because it's like, okay, it's not for me. It's not my space. I've never been included in that space. But once you're in it, once you give it a chance, it's like your world opens up. And I've met so many amazing people in that community. I think you would love it. Again, you love telling stories. You're a big nerd. You have an incredible brain. You have an amazing imagination. Like, you are made for stuff like this.
I'm going to have to give it a try. I actually feel like, I don't know why I've been resistant to it. I think that my sister is like 10 years older than me.
Mhm.
And so I feel like if we were ever playing a game, I had a little inferiority complex when I was a
see.
kid. Like, oh, I'm going to be bad at this, So,
Mhm.
but that's not any way to live. You got to push through.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, it's not about like being bad or good. You are inherently good. You bring yourself to the table, right? It's like
Right.
improv. You know what I mean? There's no like bad or good. It's just like you. It's
Yeah.
what you and your imagination can bring to the table. And I know you got an imaginative, So yeah, I think you should give it a shot.
Yes, we did. We did meet at your storytelling show where I shared a fan fiction that I wrote about Beverly Hills 90210, and performing it on stage was extremely vulnerable, which I wasn't expecting. But oops. But okay, so I know that we bonded over pop culture nostalgia. Also, you've been doing this like Instagram show, Spoopy Friends.
Yes.
So are you like a horror guy?
Oh my gosh, I'm a huge horror person. I have my weird blind spots. Like the big horror movies, I kind of haven't seen Frankenstein, Dracula, all the MGM sort of like movie monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love the obscure sort of weird movies. And the start of Spoopy Friends was like, okay, I really do want to expand my horror movie sort of oeuvre. So I was like, I'm going to pick a movie. Every year I do this on every weekend in October. I've done it for 4 years. Oh my gosh, 4 years. I've done it for 4 years where I pick a horror movie I've never seen. And I ask a friend who's a huge horror movie person, who's also never seen the movie. And I ask them to watch it. And then we go on Instagram Live and we talk about it. And it's a fun little like commentary about like horror movies, our relationship to horror, why people love horror so much. And it's my favorite genre. It really is.
So where do you place Gremlins now that you've seen it? Like, do you think it's a horror movie?
Yes, I do. It's kind of weird. Gremlins is such an anomaly because I don't know what the critical reception was when it first came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a big hit or not, but to me, it just feels like it's so beloved by so many people. And I'm just like, how did this movie get made? It just has all these different genres mixed in. It's a Christmas movie.
Right.
It's a horror movie. It's a family comedy movie. You know what I mean? It's just like kind of demented and twisted. And I think the horror, when it's horror, it really goes in, But yeah, I would consider it a horror movie. I'm a big Letterboxd. Are you on Letterboxd?
Yes.
So on Letterboxd, it's in the top 250 horror movie list. And I saw it and I was like, no, Gremlins is a kid's movie. What?
Right.
And after watching it, I'm like, oh, no, it's horror.
Yeah. So I did like the barest minimum of research, don't worry. And I don't know what the critical reception was, but if they had like Cinema Score at the time, it would have failed because
really
it was like advertised as this like family Christmas movie with this cute little puppet. And it came out in the middle of summer for some reason. It's from Steven Spielberg. And people...
It came out in the summer?
Yeah, it came out in like June or July.
Interesting.
And people took their kids to see it and like walked out because it was so violent and gory and bloody. But then I think it pretty quickly, like people heard what it was. And it was a box office success. They wanted to make a sequel immediately. It took like almost a decade for Gremlins 2 to come out, which I can't wait to talk to you about. And then even in 2013, people were saying there's going to be a third. There's going to be another sequel. People are ready for it. But it's like, it's one of these things, just reading the Wikipedia, I was like, who said this movie needs to be made? Like, I understand that they were like, we got an interesting idea. I know someone who can make a puppet.
Right, exactly.
But how was Steven Spielberg like, no, I definitely am going to spend time and money on this and have a cameo in the movie?
Yes. It's so bizarre because, when you think of Steven Spielberg, you think of E.T.
Yeah.
You think of these like family Indiana Jones, and to think that he was involved in Gremlins. He didn't direct Gremlins.
No.
It was Chris
Joe
Columbus.
Dante.
Joe Dante.
Chris Columbus wrote the script.
Wrote it. Okay. There's so many like big names attached to this movie.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre because you don't think that this is something that Steven Spielberg was like, absolutely, put my name on this. Absolutely.
So you said this had been like just one that you hadn't seen.
But I've always wanted to,
Yeah, like I'm curious because I feel like everyone's seen images of Gizmo, who's so cute. But were you surprised by the actual Gremlins, or had you seen a lot of images of them?
So for me, it was the other way around. I've seen the Gremlins.
Okay.
And here's the weird thing is, there's a genre in horror called puppetsploitation, which is like little puppets attacking people.
Yeah.
You have critters, you have munchies, you have ghoulies. But Gremlins was the start of it. Was like Gremlins are like the kings of the puppetsploitation subgenre. And I was familiar with the Gremlins because they cause havoc. And I didn't know a lot about like Gizmo, the cute one. So when they introduce Gizmo to you, I'm like, what? Why is he cute? And why is he furry and tiny and adorable? Because it's a whole legend. Like the Mogwai story is, what is the deal with the Mogwai? What is going on over there?
Well, let's just get into it. We start establishing shot Chinatown.
Yeah.
This is like, to me, this is an archetypal, like there's Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and there's like the opening scene of Gremlins as being like two of my formative, like, oh, Hollywood does not like Asian people.
It felt very noirish at the beginning. There's a voiceover.
Why is there a voiceover from this absentee father at the beginning and at the end of this movie?
And that's what I was like, oh, the movie's about this father dealing with this creature or whatever. No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
There was also at like an 80s, maybe this was a Spielberg choice to put like a small Asian boy in a ball cap to show up.
It's a type. It's a type. He likes his archetypes, I guess.
Yeah. And incredible sound cue. Like there's a lot of like gongs happening. But he ends up with this mogwai, which is a little creature. We don't see him for a while. And this dad's an inventor, which that also feels very 80s to me, like Small Wonder.
So 80s. So 80s. It really is such an 80s movie.
Yeah. Like the cast, I mean, I don't know whatever happened to, I should have looked up Zach Galligan.
Yes, that lead. I thought he was fantastic and attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think he would have more of a career because everybody else, I mean, Phoebe Cates, Corey Feldman, like these people they had huge careers in the 80s. And he sort of, I don't know what happened to him. He
is handsome. He looks like Harold Ramis to me from Stripes. And
that's my type.
Yes. Phoebe Cates, who apparently they were nervous about casting because she'd been such a sex pot in Fast Times before this.
That's so funny.
But yeah, there's something about like, I also remembered this as them being teenagers, but they like work at a bank.
They're adults. They're adults.
They're adults who he lives with his family. No, that's fine. He like lives.
That's not weird.
Lives in the attic with movie posters and all his dad's weird. I actually really liked how fleshed out the family is in this.
Yes. And how much there was no family drama.
Yeah.
They all loved each other. You could tell that the mom and dad really loved each other. She put up with his eccentricities, which, I mean, she's made of stronger stuff. Literally. We'll go into this, but like, is this a feminist film? Absolutely. The female characters absolutely demolished this movie.
Well, the other is a second great sound cue. First is the gongs of Chinatown. But then when like the town bitch shows up.
Oh my, what is her name?
I don't know.
Mrs. Dennis or something. I don't know.
She shows up and the
Wow.
soundtrack is like bonk, bonk, bonk. And she is so cruel. She's the like Mr. Potts or Potter or whatever from It's a Wonderful Life.
She's the sort of Cruella de Vil.
Yes. Oh, big time. Because she's
Mhm.
like, look, I'm not a dog person. I like people know this about me, but like I would never think or say the things that she just like brazenly is just like, I will murder your pets.
In full detail. I was like, oh my God, this was the pink flag for me to be like, oh, I don't think this is a kid's movie.
No. But yeah, these like people, I mean, I feel like they all fight too. Like that's something that's kind of cool about this movie is like everyone is like here except for the cops, but everyone else is like ready to go. But okay, we have this dad who brings this little pet home for his son. He's like, oh, my son's got a dog, but he needs another little cute creature.
Mhm.
Here's this little thing I found.
Like as a Christmas present, right? Because he was having a hard time finding a present. And my question is like, why was he in Chinatown? Did he just stumble across this place or did he hear about the mogwai and then walked in?
Yeah.
It felt very like suspicious to me. Like, what? Also, why are you bringing a mogwai over to a kid who already has a pet?
Right. That is weird. Like his dog is like, definitely like his best friend. Like it doesn't, it's almost strange. I was like, what if the dog and the mogwai don't get along?
Hello. Listen, if you are a pet owner, you know that bringing another animal into the mix is a very dangerous thing to do. You got to ease into this, right? Also, let's be real. Not to be on Mrs. Evil Woman's side here, but this dog does not seem the best trained dog in the world, you know? He attacks her at the bank, which is very funny. But, you know, it's like if I was the dad, I'd be like, train the dog first, and then we'll see about getting another pet.
Yeah.
But he, as you said, absent father.
Okay, but so he does bring home 3 rules that the little boy told him. What are these rules?
First rule, you cannot have mogwai near light. They hate the light, and in sunlight, it will kill them. Second rule, do not get them wet by any means. Do not get them wet at all. They cannot be wet. Third rule, and most importantly, is do not feed them after midnight. No matter how hard they beg or cry, do not feed them.
I will say Gremlins 2 came out in my childhood, and the 2 movies blend together in my like being a kid and watching them and watching one on VHS and watching one in the theater or whatever. But I couldn't remember like which of those rules does what. And it's really interesting actually, because like he doesn't like the sunlight. He doesn't like any light, really likes to be in the dark. We will later find out that getting Gizmo, which is what they named this mogwai, getting him wet will cause him to breed. And
asexually, which cool.
Yeah, he's an ace icon.
Yeah. Oh my God. Cat! Oh my gosh.
Now I need somebody.
Is Gizmo the most popular ace icon?
Somebody to get the ace flag and just put Gizmo's face on the center. Or like the bear flag, like a little mogwai, like paw print.
The mogwai ears on the flag.
He asexually reproduces, which is like, it's funny because Gizmo is like personified like he's a little baby, but he also like is into like race car movies like his teenage daddy is. And then, but also he's like the mother of all of these other gremlins. And then feeding them after midnight is what turns them from little cutie fluffy creatures into the gremlins that you know and love.
Yes, these reptilian, sharp teeth, long clawed demons.
And then basically, like, there's a little bit of plot of like, oh, I'm going to go take him to the high school and the science teacher might tell me like, what's the deal with him? The dad, like, pretty quickly is like, I'm just going to sell these. Like, oh, they breed. Let's just sell them.
You know, this doesn't surprise me.
No.
Also, how are these people making money? The guy's products don't work.
No, he's like trying to sell a smokeless ashtray and everyone's like, who cares?
Yeah.
But then
No wonder the kid works at the bank. They need the money.
Then it's pretty much just like off to the races. Like once these gremlins are out in the world, that's when watching this again last night, and I hadn't sat down and watched this movie in so many years. I was like, oh, they literally just were like, so puppeteers, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then it's like 40 minutes.
Do you have a sketch for us? And they're like, nope. We have the names, Gremlins, go.
And I mean, yeah, like that's the movie, right? Like,
them causing havoc all over the place.
Did you have any favorite Gremlins? Because
oh my gosh,
each one has a distinct personality. It's like, Oscar, did you ever have a composite headshot? Because that's my favorite thing.
No, what is that?
It's like a headshot, like 4 on one page, and one is like you playing tennis.
Oh my gosh. No, but I have seen the America's Next Top Model episode where they do that.
Like each gremlin is like, well, what if a gremlin was a bandit? What if a gremlin had big lipstick on?
Yes, drag. Oh my gosh. I don't know what gender these gremlins are, but that one with the lipstick, drag.
Ace and B icons.
Yeah.
201. I mean, actually not all of them are asexual because one of them is a flasher wearing a tiny trench coat.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Now, here's the thing. It's like all of these gremlins are sort of reflections of pop culture tropes, right? For example, my favorite scene in the entire movie that made me laugh so hard. There's one gremlin at the bar trying so hard to be like this noir detective, just like super serious. And then this dumbass that I related to very much, that was me. Like, tag yourself, I am that gremlin, with 2 puppets just going, trying to be silly, just annoying the hell out of that noir gremlin. To me, was the funniest scene ever. And to me, it's like, are these gremlins just like infused with pop culture? Is it infused in their being to be like the noir type, to be the drag type, to be the children's like puppet type? Like, because Gizmo is obsessed with pop culture as well.
Yeah.
So when they reproduce, do they have Gizmo's knowledge of pop culture?
Oh, that's interesting.
And as you know, we see that recreation scene when he's driving the Barbie car.
Yes.
It's like, oh, they like love pop culture like us. We're sort of like mogwais.
Yeah. Like this is a creation myth. Like this is, Gizmo is like a creator god, basically. Yeah. And the rest of the gremlins are just trying to destroy him for some reason.
Yes. True. Very true.
It's interesting. Yeah, Gizmo, he likes music. Like he kind of plays with the keyboard. He sings. He's so tuned in. He sees like
nice pun.
He sees like a Clark Gable movie, like race car movie. He loves that adventure. So I wonder if like each one imprints on some piece of pop culture, and like each sees one thing, and they're like, "That's what I'm going to be." Like they saw the dogs playing poster painting and playing poker. And then we're like, we're going to do that.
Like, that's my personality. It's very much like us. We see a piece of pop culture and you're like, oh, I'm going to wrap my identity around this one specific thing. And listen, we're not much different than the Gremlins.
They're also all very skilled electricians.
Yeah.
Like
inherently know a lot of electricity. Yeah, absolutely.
Not a one of them meets a set of wires that they can't like manipulate into doing exactly what they want.
Their favorite hobbies include cutting wires, reattaching wires.
But you brought up the central question, is this a feminist movie? Probably not, but there are 3...
Does it pass the Bechdel test?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think any of the female characters talk to each other, but
yeah.
But there are like 3 main action scenes that I feel like are all with female characters.
Absolutely.
And the first is with the mom. Can you talk to me about that?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this poor mother. Okay, so this is after the mogwais trick the teenage adult to give them food after midnight, and
Yes.
that scene where they voraciously eat that chicken. Oh my god.
Oof.
I'm like, I think I'm gonna be a vegetarian again.
Those puppets were moist.
They were good. Yeah. Ooh. Wet puppets. That is a genre of horror. Wet puppets. The next day, he leaves to I don't know what the hell he's doing. I think he's working or something. And the mom's at home alone. And this is where they hatch from these alien-like, the movie Aliens. Their eggs look similar. From their egg sacs pop out the gremlins, and they're causing havoc. And she shows up. They're in the kitchen just causing mayhem. And she's obliterating these gremlins and taking names. She puts one in the microwave.
Ooh.
Oh God, it is brutal.
They have this green, goopy, slimy blood, and the one that she puts in the blender, I remember that one very strongly as being like, oh no,
visceral. This is visceral.
But no fear. She gets a little shield out of a chair or a tray, and she's got a knife, and she will not. She's not going to be taken down by these gremlins.
No. And listen, if you saw a gremlin in real life, I would run away. I would not try to kill them at all or kick them. No, I would run away.
Yeah.
They're sharp. They got teeth. They're scary looking. They're scary looking creatures. But she said, this is my house. You are causing mess in my kitchen. It's time for you to go. And she stabs one of them. And it is it's not just a little stab and running away. She stabs them. And she gets scratched in the face. She is a warrior, this woman.
I hope that actress has paid off her house by going to horror conventions.
She has. I hope to this day, hopefully, she's still doing that because get paid.
Yes.
That's what I have to say. Get paid.
Then there is, I think this is also an iconic 80s movie moment, is our main guy has a crush on his coworker, Phoebe Cates. Who doesn't? She's beautiful. She looks like Jennifer
gorgeous. Connelly.
She's Phoebe Cates. She's Phoebe,
exactly.
Yeah. She also works at the bar, which we'll get back to because I'm just going to say it now. I'm obsessed when the gremlins take over the bar and she's pouring them drinks, opening beers and pouring them drinks to keep them docile. But she tells this story about why she hates Christmas.
Oh my God, Kat. Oh my gosh.
Were you
going to pull the quote?
Were you excited? I didn't write it down, but I probably remember it word for word.
It's ingrained. Can I tell you, I woke up this morning and that is the first thing I thought of when I woke up is that quote. And I quote, "Some people open presents, others open their wrists."
Oh. This movie is not for children. If you still believed in Santa Claus, this movie ended that for you. If you have never heard about suicide before, this movie is going to teach you a lesson. She talks about discovering her father's rotting body in the fireplace or in the chimney because he pretended to be Santa and come down the chimney and died. And it is so brutal. And that scene has nothing to do with Gremlins.
Nope,
it's just in the movie.
Also, there's tons of reasons why people don't like Christmas. You know what I mean? Consumerist holiday, et cetera, et cetera. They said, no, this is the day your dad gets stuck in a chimney and dies.
She couldn't be of a different faith.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, you're Jewish. You celebrate? No. Oh, okay.
Some people open their wrists. I blocked
It was
that.
so visceral and so casually said that I was like, my blood turned cold.
Yes. As cold as our villainess, the old C word running around.
I love that she's the villain. There's literal monsters running around, and you said she's worse than they are.
I also strongly remember, I don't know if I'd ever seen one of those automatic banister chair things.
I know.
until I saw this movie, and she has a big house, the big spiral staircase, and she loves money, and that's what we know about her.
Because, like, what is her thing? Does she own the bank? Is she, like, married to the bank king?
I don't know. Like, at one point, she's, like, going to evict a young family. At another point, she's like, I'm just here to make money. Like,
yeah.
It definitely does not matter. But also, when we see her at home, she's not wearing her wig. So an unsavvy viewer will not even know whose house we're in.
You know, and I was one of those unsavvy viewers because I was like, who the hell is this lady?
I would think of you as a very wig literate person.
No, I have wig blindness.
That's like whenever I watch a movie and I'm just like wig, teeth, wig. Always. I'm probably wrong half the time, but
somebody's wearing a wig. At least one person is wearing a wig.
Well, like, digression. I was just watching The Curse, the new like Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone show.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, but what's the story with Benny Safdie's wig? Like, I need to know like what character
and is
choice.
It necessary?
What
and is it necessary?
Yeah. What is the characterization?
Who pitched this
behind that wig? Anyway, so those gremlins show up. They throw her out the window. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, they carol first. They show up and they're caroling to her, which I'm like, huh. So you're not all bad, are you? Or what's the deal? What's going on here?
They love pop culture, like you said.
They do. They love pop culture.
Did this come out before? This must have come out after Muppet Christmas Carol, but I feel like those scenes.
Maybe. Oh, wait. Maybe you're right. Hold on. Let me find out real quick.
Yeah.
Let me get the research team behind it. Let's do this. Gremlins came out in 1984.
Yeah.
And Muppet Christmas Carol came out in, stand by, 1992.
Wow. I thought that movie came out like 10 years prior. Well,
no, it feels late, doesn't it? I'm like, oh, wow.
I hope Joe Dante and Chris Columbus got
right?
Credit on that story by. When they're caroling and she's like, I'm going to fucking kill you, carolers. I've told you I hate carolers so goddamn much. And then she sees that it's the Gremlins. They have songbooks. Like, where did they get these props? Did they kill a group of carolers first?
You know they did. They did.
We just didn't need to see it. They were like,
we didn't need to see it, yeah.
The audience will fill this in.
We'll see the scene when it gets released.
I don't even know how they all end up in a movie theater. But
they love pop culture. They're drawn to it. Like moths to a flame. They're like, okay, where can we go? And every single gremlin goes to this movie theater.
Yeah. Like they looked at the newspaper. They saw the show times. They were like, I will be there. And that's basically just the perfect spot for our heroes to finally like take care of this threat once and for all.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is like, it's such a clever, I've been writing a lot lately. So I've been like when I'm watching things, I'm trying to pick up like, oh, that's such a good little like turn or like a little built-in time bomb or whatever. It's like, the sunlight's going to kill them. So they're like vampires. We just know that if they don't survive past the morning, then we're safe. So, yeah, it's like kind of crazy to think that all of this happens pretty much in the span of one night.
That's right. I keep forgetting that it just is one night of mayhem and chaos.
But here's what surprised me, because I did not remember this, and now I'm desperately going to need to rewatch the sequel, is I didn't remember that our Chinatown salesman returns at the end of the movie.
Yeah. He finds out where they are because it's all over the news that all these like little creatures are caused havoc, killed who knows how many people. And he's like, yeah, you're being irresponsible. Give me the mogwai. Bye. And here's the thing too. I thought we were going to have, because I'm just accustomed to E.T., this like sort of sentimental goodbye, but it felt very sort of like, Gizmo was very much like, okay, bye. See
Yeah.
ya. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Bye. I was like, oh, all right, great. No attachment issues. Great. I love it.
I'm glad all my murderous babies are dead.
Yeah. See ya. Bye. Peace.
So here is something I discovered, which is that they did initially attempt to use monkeys to play the Gremlins. But, quote, an attempt to do this was abandoned because the test monkey panicked when made to wear a gremlin head. So I would just like you to conceive of this movie in that context.
No. No. Oh my gosh, how horrifying. Oh my gosh.
Actually like really, really scary to think that they could have like unleashed these poor monkey
Thinking
actors.
of like the movie theater scene and just it being all monkeys. No.
And also that Chris Columbus wrote this as a writing sample. Like he just wanted to have a spec that showed that he could tell a story. He never thought it was going to get made. But
are you serious?
Yeah, Steven Spielberg was like, it's really original and I thought we should make it. So he saw the vision, which is why.
You know what? Hats off.
Yeah, I mean, this movie was a hit. Or at least it was successful enough. And Spielberg liked it enough that they have a scene where the dad is at an inventors conference and Steven Spielberg's like just riding around a little tricycle thing.
Yeah.
Did you catch what was happening with the time machine in that sequence?
No.
Okay. I was obsessed with this watching last night. So the dad's like making a phone call at the inventors conference and we see the robot from Forbidden Planet and other inventions like running around. In the background is like the H.G. Wells time machine. And it's just, it's like an expo. People are looking at these different inventions. Dad's on the phone. Cut away. Cut back to dad on the phone. The time machine is missing. And the people who were standing next to it are like, what? Where did it go?
How did I miss that? Oh my gosh.
So in this movie, the time machine works. And I am hopeful that in the actual third sequel that will never get made, that somehow it's just about like a time traveler who brought a gremlin to the past or future.
Oh my God. Or maybe that's the sort of the catalyst of Back to the Future.
Yes. Yeah. Zemeckis taking notes.
Yes. Yeah. He's like, wait a second. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine going to this inventors convention with what was the thing that he was doing? It had like it's a Swiss Army knife for like. Oh yeah. But like businessmen on the go,
Yeah, like who needs a DOP kit when this thing can like spray shaving cream on your face? Never.
So imagine bringing that and then seeing a literal working time machine there. I'd be like, I need to go home. Which is essentially what he said in the phone call. He's like, everyone's better than me.
That's why he's like, I think I'm going to breed this weird, like endangered species that I found. Illegal wildlife trafficking.
Right.
So what's your take? What's your you've now seen Gremlins.
I loved it.
Loved it.
I loved it.
It's so fun.
It's so fun and it's like impish. It's like a little naughty. You know what I mean? Like I miss movies like that. It's a horror movie masqueraded as like a kids' Christmas movie. How much of it is actually Christmas infused? I would say a surprising amount. It is ultimately a Christmas film,
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's really about these like monsters causing mayhem and killing people. But I also think, as someone who is queer, because, I watch everything through a queer lens, lavender lens, if you will. But to me, when Gizmo was breeding asexually, these other mogwai, and they sort of like the scene where they're like all together, like playing with the arcade, and then it pans over and you see Gizmo playing the trumpet next to the dog. I'm like, that's how I felt growing up being queer.
Right.
Like Gizmo's into like the arts,
Yes.
and like they're the other ones are like violent and like they want to beat each other up and they want to eat and they want to, you know what I mean? So to me, just they felt very straight to me.
Yeah.
And when they turn into the Gremlins, it's like, oh, even straighter. You know, it's like they're all into like violence and beating each other up. It's like not unlike kids growing up, you know, the boys just like beating each other up. But, you know, as growing up gay, it's like, okay, I just want everyone to get along with each other and like, let's like listen to this. Let's listen to the Lilith Fair. Like, let's just all go to the Lilith Fair and like have a good time. So I very much related with Gizmo, you know, because he just was, you know, soft royalty, really.
Ooh, yes, and it's like he learned from our hero, our like young man hero, who's also like a sweet boy who respects his mother and who helps in the kitchen.
Yes.
And I think even gay men probably have a crush on Phoebe Cates. So, you know, we don't know what his situation is. But yeah, he's definitely just like, there is something about Gizmo that's like he's hiding in the clothes rack while mom is shopping for clothes. And the other kids are off like pulling pranks.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I wonder if you've seen, because if not, I'm literally going to send you the link and make you watch it right now, unless I can do a screen share, which I'm not sure. There's a Key and Peele sketch about Gremlins 2.
Yeah, you mean their best sketch ever? Where they're pitching Gremlins 2?
Yes. Okay, good. Listeners, this video is linked in the show notes. I hope you will watch it. If this conversation has made you want to watch Gremlins, which, look, it's stupid, right? It is not.
You gotta watch it.
It's not necessarily an important film, right? It is so much fun. I have so much love for this movie because of how like just stupid it is. I mean, really, just that they were like, well, what if in the next one a gremlin wears a balaclava and holds someone up? What if a gremlin had a gun? Like literally all of these things happen. But then Gremlins 2 just takes it to like the 10th level.
Yes. There were no bad ideas in Gremlins. As the Key and Peele sketch proved. No, there were no bad ideas.
When Jordan Peele is playing the sequel punch-up guy, and he's like, you are just saying a noun and then gremlin. I love it. You are not well, and it is going in the movie. And like
Gremlins are infused in pop culture, you know, especially, you know, when we talk about Gremlins 2 and you have the gorgeous gremlin in drag, you know, with the big lips and the hair, you know. It's featured all over. Heidi Klum dressed up as that gremlin for Halloween. Looks stunning. That was in Drag Race Holland season 2. Love Masisi famously wore that outfit. I mean, like, it's just part of pop culture, you know?
Yeah. And
Gremlins are important, I think.
I think so. I mean, and it's like, it really also is this is a movie that is like a celebration of craft.
Yes.
But like, there's a lot of artistry in this movie. Like, truly, I have so much respect for the prop makers and the designers of this movie. The things that
Without
they
them,
do.
this movie couldn't have been possible. Oh my gosh, yes.
No, if it was monkeys and little masks running around, it'd be crazy. When the gremlins reproduce and their offspring pop off and then they grow and shrink and grow and they're like fur balls, that was really impressive. Just like some really good old-fashioned movie magic,
yes, practical
you know?
effects, absolutely. Yeah. The lady flying out of out of her mansion on that like wheel on the staircase machine, which I want. I don't have staircase, but I want that. Incredible! It looks incredible. Viscerally, I was like, "Oh my gosh! Yeah. I've never seen that death ever. That's incredible." The eggs where the mogwais turn into gremlins, like all of that stuff, you know, was really successful. Oh, yeah. It was so good, so well done.
Oh,
really great movie.
I'm so glad that you finally have seen it, and
I know. Yes,
and I can't wait to hear what you think when you watch Gremlins 2, which now you'll have to.
I cannot wait.
You'll have to. Well, with that, we will be right back to share some freakouts.
What's your freakout?
Now it's time to talk about what's been thrilling us, moving us, upsetting us, or infuriating us this past week. Oscar, what's your freak out?
Okay, my freak out. I'm obsessed. It's a show. Now, as y'all know, I love drag. I love drag race. I love it. I love the art form of it. Then we get into the peripheral sections of drag race shows. You have Dragula, which I don't know if you know, but it's like spooky drag, which is fantastic.
I watched the first season and a half or 2 seasons of that.
Great. This right now, it's airing. Season 5 is being aired, and their production value has increased. Their editing skills are much better. The hosts have gotten a lot better.
Oh, good.
A lot better. I recommend to watch because it's spooky drag. It's like weird drag. But listen, I'm Latinx. I gotta represent. There is a show in Mexico called La Más Draga, which translates to the most drag. And it is literally my obsession. I discovered it on YouTube of all places, and all episodes of all 6 seasons are on YouTube. The first maybe 3 or 4 seasons are just in Spanish. So if you speak Spanish, great. If you're trying to learn to speak Spanish, even better. Watch it. Seasons 5 and 6 have subtitles so you can enjoy. And it is incredible drag. And I'll tell you why. It's not just a drag show. Every episode, they do a challenge relating to Mexican culture, which I think is really cool. So, they talk about an episode is the most flower queen, right? And then they talk about they have to represent a Mexican flower in their look. And it is some of the most polished, incredible drag I have ever seen on any show. It's so incredible. The judges are great. It is my obsession right now. La Más Draga. Get into it. It's really fun.
Do they have a challenge where my grandma insults them the whole time?
Yeah, that's one of the judges for sure. There's a Simon Cowell judge who is just not happy about anything. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's too much.
It's definitely just a core part of my Mexican cultural identity. So I look forward to seeing it represented. No, I'm excited for that. I watch so many iterations of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I've watched Dragula, and I've always wanted, I love that Dragula shows you more. It shows you drag kings. It shows you drag queens who would not pass the RuPaul test of being televisable. And just to see that it's such a broader art form. I'm so excited. It's called La Más Draga.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, I have never seen, there's a lot of non-binary drag artists included in there. Which I've never seen before in my life. There's bio kings, which are which are what's it called? AMAB? Assigned male at birth. Performers who do heightened male drag, which is really cool. Yeah. And I've never seen before. There's trans drag, obviously there. It's really well-rounded drag represented in La Más Draga, which is fantastic. And it's not just Mexican queens. There's a lot of international, meaning Argentinian, Colombian drag, Chilean drag in there as well. So it's great. The cast is fantastic. You love them so much. You're endeared to them. And it's great. I love it so much.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. Unfortunately, my freak out this week is terribly straight.
Well, the balance. Hey, yin and yang.
It's just because I've been very busy lately, I haven't been watching a lot. So I'm what podcasts I've been listening to. And I have been listening to this podcast from The Ringer called 60 Songs That Explain the 90s. Have you listened to this?
No, but I'm okay. I'm listening. What is it?
Well, I will tell you, I actually genuinely have a rule. I do not listen to any show. This is a rule that I do break sometimes, but I don't listen. I listen to 1,000 podcasts. I will not subscribe to a podcast if it is hosted exclusively by cis straight white men, because the bar is so low. During the strike, the writer's strike, I started listening to Script Notes, which is a really brilliant podcast about screenwriting. And they were doing a lot of strike coverage. And for months I was listening to it God damn it. I'm breaking my rule, but like they're getting into like such interesting things. And then I discovered that one of the hosts was gay, and I was like, okay, thank God. So this show is, I will say it's a slightly different format. So Rob Harvilla is the host, and he's a music journalist, and he's just going through 90s songs. And he's talking both about production and how they were made, but also like, God, I'm not trying to listen to Dave Matthews Band, right? But his episode about Crash Into Me was so interesting because he's telling you about like what it meant when this song came out and how it felt to be a teenager in the 90s who couldn't imagine ever having the good fortune to like make out with a girl, and hearing a song that turned you on and made you think about that. And he also always has interesting guests. So his guests are usually like, when he did, when he does a podcast about Bjork, he might have like a woman on, or it's not just that. It's not as like oversimplified as that. But he had Wu-Tang fans from Staten Island on to talk about Wu-Tang. And that was so interesting because I didn't know a lot about them. So yeah, like you can pull up this feed and you can just pick a song that you're like, wow, Bjork's hyper ballad. I want to hear more about that. And you can just listen to that, and it's very self-contained. But also I've really enjoyed listening to the episodes about like Portishead or whatever, like bands that I don't know that much about, or I don't know that specific Wu-Tang song that they're talking about. So like, yeah, tell me about it. Tell me how that felt. Or
what's it called?
60 Songs That Explain the 90s. I really loved, he did an episode about Looney's I Got Five on It, which was in the Nope trailer.
That's right.
Well, it's in the Nope trailer. No, it was in the Us trailer. And he had all these like Bay Area guys on as the guests to talk about like how significant it was for Bay Area rap. And I was like, I don't know anything about rap. I don't know anything about Bay Area rap. So to learn about that was really cool. That is our show for today. Thank you, Oscar, for joining me. Where can people learn more about you? And now you can actually talk about what binging they can do.
Yes. You can find me on social media at Ozzymo, OZZYMO, on Twitter, well, X, I guess, and Instagram, mostly Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And also, you can watch Minx on Starz. Season 1 and 2 are out there. It's a good time. It's a good show, right?
Yeah.
Great show.
It's like, it's sexy, it's stylish. Everyone in that show is also beautiful. And like,
everyone's gorgeous.
Anyone who listened to my season, Machos Fully Loaded, knows how much that I appreciate just like aesthetic beauty on screen. And that is a show that is like, I don't like to watch it while I'm doing something else. I like to just actually watch and like enjoy.
It's such a beautiful, it's all beautifully shot. It's incredibly shot. Everyone's great. Watch it. If you don't believe me, just watch it.
Yeah.
Just watch it.
Give it a try.
Just do it. Mm-hmm.
I'm Kat Spada. You can find me at cat_EX_machina on Twitter, and follow Feminist Frequency all over the place at FemFreak, FEMFREQ. Also, last week I was on an episode of the podcast Trek, Marry, Kill, talking about Star Trek Voyager, and you can listen to that at the link in our show notes. If you're a Patreon subscriber, be sure to stick around for the bonus episode where Oscar and I are going to talk about our favorite and or least favorite holiday movies. So if you like the show, help other people find it by subscribing, rating, and commenting on your favorite podcast app. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.